Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee. In today's episode, we are going to go over the basic plot premise and a pretty actually detailed overview of The Rise of Skywalker. There will be massive spoilers in this video, so this is your spoiler warning. Now with that spoiler warning out of the way, let's get the other thing that we do here out of the way. If you're a fan of this channel and you're already a returning subscriber, thank you. But if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on this video and other videos that you check out, and be sure to hit that notification bell to get a new notification whenever a new video goes live. Now with that being said, let's get into the Rise of Skywalker plot leak. Now where did this leak come from? Well, this leak was recommended from Jason Ward over at MakingStarWars.net, who, if you've been following the channel or are really diehard in the Star Wars community, you know that he is a good source for Star Wars leaks and behind the scenes. And what he did is he recommended this user on Reddit, Star Wars Leaks, that ties in with most of his information. And this Reddit user is called Jedi Paxis, so we are going to give credit. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into this. This is your last chance for spoilers, because we are going into this in 3, 2, 1. The Rise of Skywalker opens with a flashback of Luke and Leia. Luke is training Leia as a Jedi, but unfortunately, Leia has to give up her Jedi training due to the fact that she finds out she's pregnant with Kylo Ren. Next, we flash to the current timeline, where Leia appears to have taken on the mantle to train Rey since Luke sacrificed himself in The Last Jedi. Early on in this film, we're going to find out that Kylo has been slaughtering people to track down a device called the Wayfinder. Kylo obtains the Wayfinder from a character known as the Oracle and finds it with coordinates to a point in the unknown regions. The Wayfinder that Kylo was given once belonged to his grandfather. Using the coordinates found within the Wayfinder device, Kylo arrives at the coordinates in the unknown regions, and it is here where Kylo encounters Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine is still alive, has ended up in the unknown regions, and Palpatine is in the flesh. This isn't a K-Vision like Dagobah, this is Palpatine here and now. And Kylo and Palpatine have a conversation that Palpatine demands Kylo to find Rey, bring her to him, with the goal of turning her to the dark side. Palpatine is very old and very decrepit at this point. Palpatine is over 100 years old, and his goal is to have Kylo find Rey, bring her to him, so that the two of them can inherit the Emperor's empire and rule it together as a duo. In order to facilitate this new empire, Palpatine has spent all of this time in hiding, developing a Sith fleet, as it has come to be known, of Star Destroyers with the power to destroy a whole planet. So it's Death Star technology mounted on a fleet of Star Destroyers. Moving back to the Resistance, we find Finn and Poe returning to a jungle planet where they have been informed that the First Order has had Kylo Ren come into possession of the Wayfinder. They find this out through a mole in the First Order, and Poe and Finn tell Leia about this, so she sends Rey, Chewbacca, and C-3PO on a mission. In order to get them going on this mission to give them a better chance, she puts them in contact with someone on Pasaana, and this contact turns out to be none other than Lando Calrissian. Lando points them towards another one. Lando points them to this Sith artifact that turns out to be a dagger, and this dagger has some type of writing on it that even C-3PO can't decipher. It's during this time on Pasaana that Kylo initiates a force connection between himself and Rey. This connection allows Kylo to discover where Rey and the Resistance crew are and go pursue them. So Kylo arrives there with the Knights of Ren and ready to attack. The Resistance is outnumbered between the Knights of Ren and Kylo himself, and they are forced to make an escape, leaving the Millennium Falcon behind. Kylo brings the Falcon to his Star Destroyer. Since 3PO can't read what's on the dagger, Poe takes him to a place where he has to be reprogrammed in order to be able to read the dagger. and he's allowed to translate the artifact for them. During this time, Kylo initiates another connection between him and Rey, and Kylo uses this as an opportunity to try and lure Rey down the path of darkness. This time he goes back to Rey's parents, tells him about the dagger, and says that it was used to murder Rey's parents. Kylo maintains that her parents are nobody still. He says that her parents are nobodies in this whole grand scheme of things. Kylo's attempt works, and Rey lures out at him, and a lightsaber duel begins. Kylo is able to keep this connection long enough so that he's able to learn Rey's new location, and eventually goes back to his Star Destroyer to pursue her once more. Once Kylo arrives, the gang decides to give us a flashback to Episode 4 and try and steal the Millennium Falcon back. This goes wrong, and the First Order captures the entire gang, and it's at this point that two major plot points happen. It's revealed to Hux who the First Order mole is, and we have another duel between Kylo and Rey, while Rey is in person this time, so this isn't in the Force connection. During this duel, Kylo adds another wrinkle to Rey's parents' backstory. We find out that while her parents are still nobody, her grandfather was not a nobody, and Kylo tells Rey that her grandfather is Palpatine. This explains his interest in bringing this random nobody from Jakku into the fold. This would explain exactly why Palpatine wants Rey there. The crew recovers the Falcon, and Rey gets back to them, and they all flee Kylo's Star Destroyer. Following this, Rey uses newly gleaned information resulting from 3PO's modifications, which allowed her to read the dagger, to travel to Endor. The dagger has led them to Endor, and Kylo ends up at Endor waiting for Rey in Palpatine's throne room, aboard the wreckage of the second Death Star. Naturally, there's going to be yet another lightsaber duel in the second wreckage of the Death Star, so this is getting really cool. It's at this point where Kylo continues to push Rey down the dark side, and Rey begins to tap into some of her hatred to try and beat Kylo. Rey takes possession of Palpatine's Wayfinder and leaves, because she was able to beat Kylo and left him for dead. This allows the Dark Rey moment to happen. This is where we see it in D23 footage, where the Darth Rey is just a vision when she touches Palpatine's Wayfinder. This is essentially her Dagobah Cave moment. Losing once again to Rey, Kylo Ren is left for dead and sees a vision of his father. And this isn't going to be Han as a Force ghost, it's just going to be Han in a vision in kind of like a dream type of state, where Han tells Kylo that it's never too late to change and come back. And when Kylo leaves Endor, he is able to get up, leave Endor, recover enough from the fight that he can get off, and he returns as Ben Solo. After Rey left Kylo for dead, this was a critical point in her character development. Rey takes the Wayfinder and goes to Ahch-To to collect her thoughts. She has a vision of herself, and this has frightened her, just as Luke was frightened when he read into Ben's thoughts and saw all of the darkness and thought to kill him in his sleep. Rey is having the same type of fear that Luke did, and she decides to drop her Jedi training, exiling herself just as Luke did on Ahch-To. Rey uses the ship to get there, and just like Luke did, she caps it all off by casting Anakin's reconstructed lightsaber toward her ship. Just when it looks like the Jedi Order is going to end again, Luke Skywalker appears to Rey as a Force ghost. Luke convinces Rey not to give up the Jedi because she needs to finish what Luke began 30 years ago and put an end to the Emperor for good. Luke then passes on the lightsaber that we saw Leia use at the beginning of the film to Rey. Rey's been reinvigorated. She takes Leia's lightsaber and transmits the location of the Sith fleet to the Resistance before she heads there herself. We're gonna get another appearance from Luke in this next scene, where we're back at the Resistance base and Leia is on her deathbed. Her death in Star Wars is similar to Yoda's, where it's just her time to go. But before she goes, Luke has one final lesson to teach her. So perhaps this could be where we would get Leia's Force Ghost lesson. Rey leaves Ahch-To and she meets the Resistance at the Sith fleet in the unknown regions, and the battle ensues. Rey finds her way to the Emperor, who has been waiting for her. Palpatine confirms that what Kylo told her was true, and that she is indeed his granddaughter. Palpatine informs Rey that he was shaken that he wasn't able to hold his bond on Vader and bring Luke to the dark side. During the course of this conversation, Palpatine makes reference to this bond between Vader and Luke and likens it to his bond with Rey, hoping that the familial connection will be enough this time to bring her to the dark side. While this is going on, we get another type of flashback type of feel to the Return of the Jedi, where Rey is trapped in the Emperor's throne room, watching the two fleets battle it out as she is unable to do anything. It's at this point that Ben Solo appears. Ben and Rey join forces and begin to fight Palpatine. Leia's lightsaber comes back into play when Rey uses it and Kylo share the Skywalker lightsabers throughout their fight. At some point, the Emperor overpowers both of them and supposedly kills Ben Solo. When it all looks like hope is lost, the ghosts of Luke and Leia show up to help aid Rey. Together they overpower the Emperor and end his darkness once and for all. As for what the members of the Resistance are doing at this point, they're engaged in the space battle against Palpatine's fleet, led by a character, General Pride. The Resistance goal is supposedly to take out the flagship, serving communications and making navigation out of the unknown regions impossible. The flagship destroyer comes at the perfect thematic moment, for when the Emperor dies, the flagship is also destroyed. The final scene of the film is going to harken back to A New Hope, where our heroes travel to Tatooine, and during this it's revealed that Rey has Anakin/Luke's lightsaber and Leia's, and has combined them to make one of her own that has a yellow saber color. She buries the leftover pieces on the grounds of the former Lars homestead. The final shots of the Skywalker saga are echoing to how this adventure began in 77, our heroes gazing at the horizon, dreaming of the future as twin suns set in the distance. So there we have it. This is a pretty detailed overview of the Rise of Skywalker plotline. We have to give another shout out to this phenomenal user Jedi Paxis for compiling this and making it such a fun thing to get our hands on just before this movie comes out, to give us a really good idea of what's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Is there anything that you guys would change? What do you want to see happen? Is there anything that you didn't get? Personally, this sounds great. There's a lot of lightsaber duels. We're going to get a couple of scenes with Luke. Ben Solo is going to be redeemed. I really hope that he doesn't die. I hope that's the only part of this that changes, because we do know that the Rise of Skywalker is still doing some additional reshoots. But let me know what you guys think about this. Those are my thoughts, my brief thoughts. Maybe I'll do another video where we go in depth on this, but this video is already running 13 minutes, so we're going to cut this here. Thank you guys for watching. God bless, and may the Force be with you.